Now, our final speaker is Peter Middleton, and he is probably well known to many of you here. He was the first person, I think, who really made this issue publicly available to people by producing a video on YouTube explaining very, very clearly the effect of the B-line extension to Newport. And I think that galvanised opinion. He's done an awful lot of work on this. He's a tireless worker for the community. Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Middleton.
Thank you very much, Michael. Michael spelled it out really well in the beginning, so I will try not to go over any old facts, except I think it's totally obvious that we want something that's not a dud, and what we've been given so far are options that show no planning or bad planning. So when we first heard about the reality of a proposal to extend the B-line to Newport, I set about finding out as much as I could about the B-line specifically, but about rapid transit systems in general. And I was very, very lucky to be able to attend back in May a workshop at Narrabeen where the keynote speakers were Professor David Henscher, Sydney University expert in rapid transit systems and their evaluation, and Niels Larsen, a director of a Danish firm who flew in specifically for that day. And his company are consultants specialising worldwide in developing rapid transit systems for over the last 30 years. And I got some really important points out of that. I'm not going to bore you with a heap of them, but I am going to give you a couple of buzzwords, because the point that they stressed is that planning begins with what they call first mile, last mile. You assess how you want to serve the community with transport in the mile that it takes them to get to your core route that you're going to develop, and you assess how you get them to their end point at the other end. You don't do what we've seen in that a week before our recent local government election, Rob Stokes goes out with a press release that says, "Oh, we're going to have an experimental private enterprise minibus system that you can try that will get you to the B-line and other bus connections all for an extra $6.20 a day on top of your existing local fare." Less than a month ago, Rob Stokes was consulted about the whole B-line thing, because he's saying a lot of misinformation is being spread around. And in a letter responding to one of our Newport residents, he said, "There is not yet any proposal to support or object to. However, it is obviously in no one's interest to change the character of the Newport village as part of this initiative," unquote. Well, I wish we could believe him in that, because in our discussions with the B-line people, if the B-line bus comes through Newport, they admit they will have to clear trim to 4.6 metres above road level all the trees down the median strip, because the bus has to go into that lane to get past stop traffic. Another thing that I learnt from that seminar was this beautiful term called modally agnostic. And that means you don't pick the vehicles before you've worked out a plan for the service. And so what did the government do? They started from the point, how can we cram more commuters into buses going over the Harbour Bridge in the morning and evening points? That's their start point in this whole B-line development. And then having got to that point, they go and order 38 double-decker buses, and ever since then they've been trying to work out how they're going to make that system work. And the extension to Newport is, I guess, the final example of that. You don't start with a point A and a point B, and then a little beyond point B, put a point B1 into a design system. As I said, it's no planning and bad planning. And what we want is a plan that delivers for the people, not for the politicians.